Today is Saturday, August 8th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today out of the Big Book, we are on There's a Solution. We'll be reading page 28. Out of the 12 and 12, we're still on step 4. We'll read page 50. And of course, we'll read NA's Just for Today and Al-Anon's Courage to Change. So with that, hope y'all are doing well this beautiful Saturday morning, my friends. Life is good over here. Got a giant cup of coffee in my Ninja Turtles mug that one of my students got me a long time ago. Well, no, actually not that long ago, but every time I drink it, I think, hey, it's Turtles. And one of my dear students that always reminds me of why I do what I do. Man, just, I don't know, got a big old smile on my face. And the fact that I woke up sober today. What a blessing. So with that, let's go ahead and get to the good stuff. All right, my friends. So if you recall from yesterday's reading out of the Big Book, pretty powerful stuff here on page 27, talking about maintaining a certain simple attitude that was crucial for remaining sober for this alcoholic. And in the second or third paragraph here, change. Talking about a mental change here. Here and there, once in a while, alcoholics have had what are called vital spiritual experiences. Huge emotional displacements and rearrangements. Ideas, emotions, attitudes which were guiding forces of the lives of these men are suddenly cast to one side. A rearrangement within. So all of these kind of hint around to a huge change as a result of doing these steps. A mental change here. And earlier in the chapter, we did talk about the mental side of our alcoholism. Pretty fascinating stuff here, right? That we've learned previously about the physical allergy and then the mental obsession or the problem that centers in our mind. And now we're learning that through this simple kit of spiritual tools that we can have freedom. And I love the beginning of the 12th step, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps. Beautiful stuff. So we're going to read page 28 today, and then tomorrow we'll finish the chapter and also read the appendix, talking about the spiritual experience versus the spiritual awakening. But anyway, we're on page 28. Here was the terrible dilemma in which our friend found himself when he had the extraordinary experience, which, as we already told you, made him a free man. We, in our turn, sought the same escape with all the desperation of drowning men. What seemed at first a flimsy reed has proven to be the loving and powerful hand of God. A new life has been given us, or if you prefer, a design for living that really works. The distinguished American psychologist William James, in his book The Varieties of Religious Experience, indicates a multitude of ways in which men have discovered God. We have no desire to convince anyone that there is only one way by which faith can be acquired. If what we have learned and felt and seen means anything at all, it means that all of us, whatever our race, creed, or color, are the children of a living Creator, with whom we may form a relationship upon simple and understandable terms as soon as we're willing and honest enough to try. Those having religious affiliations will find here nothing disturbing to their beliefs or ceremonies. There is no friction among us over such matters. We think it no concern of ours what religious bodies our members identify themselves with as individuals. This should be an entirely personal affair, which each one decides for himself in the light of past associations or his present choice. Not all of us join religious bodies, but most of us favor such memberships. In the following chapter, there appears an explanation of alcoholism as we understand it, then a chapter addressed to the agnostic. Many who were once in this class are now among our members. Surprisingly enough, we find such convictions no great obstacle to a spiritual experience. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on step 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And we talked about some of the first fruits of step 4. As we persist, a brand new kind of confidence is born. And the sense of relief at finally facing ourselves is indescribable. So we're going to build on that on page 50. By now, the newcomer has probably arrived at the following conclusions. That his character defects, representing instincts gone astray, have been the primary cause of his drinking and his failure at life. That unless he is now willing to work hard at the elimination of the worst of these defects, both sobriety and peace of mind will still elude him. That all the faulty foundation of his life will have to be torn out and built anew on bedrock. Now willing to commence the search for his own defects, he will ask, just how do I go about this? How do I take an inventory of myself? Since step 4 is but the beginning of a lifetime practice, it can be suggested that he first have a look at those personal flaws which are acutely troublesome and fairly obvious. Using his best judgment of what has been right and what has been wrong, he might make a rough survey of his conduct with respect to his primary instincts for sex, security, and society. Looking back over his life, he can readily get underway by consideration of questions such as these. When and how and in just what instances did my selfish pursuit of the sex relation damage other people and me? What people were hurt and how badly? Did I spoil my marriage and injure my children? Did I jeopardize my standing in the community? Just how did I react to these situations at the time? Did I burn with a guilt that nothing could extinguish? Or did I insist that I was the pursued and not the pursuer, and thus absolve myself? How have I reacted to frustration in sexual matters? When denied, did I become vengeful or depressed? Did I take it out on other people? If there was rejection or coldness at home, did I use this as a reason for promiscuity? And ages for today, August 8th. Responsible recovery. We accept responsibility for our problems and see that we're equally responsible for our solutions. Basic text, page 97. Some of us, well accustomed to leaving our personal responsibilities to others, may attempt the same behavior in recovery. We quickly find out it doesn't work. For instance, we are considering making a change in our lives, so we call our sponsor and ask what we should do. Under the guise of seeking direction, we are actually asking our sponsor to assume responsibility for making decisions about our life. Or maybe we've been short with someone at a meeting, so we ask that person's best friend to make our apologies for us. Perhaps we've imposed on a friend several times in the last month to cover our service commitment. Could it be that we asked a friend to analyze our behavior and identify our shortcomings rather than taking our own personal inventory? Recovery is something that has to be worked for. It isn't something to be handed to us on a silver platter. Nor can we expect our friends or our sponsor to be responsible for the work that we must do ourselves. We recover by making our own decisions, doing our own service, and working our own steps. By doing it for others, we receive the rewards. Just for today, I accept responsibility for my life and my recovery. Al-Anon's Courage to Change, August 8th. In step 6, I contemplate my life undergoing change. Tremendous change. The great fear is this: if I shed many characteristics that stand in my way, what will be left? It is as though I face a great void, a terrifying unknown. Yet when I acknowledge how far that I have come, I see how much I want to change. The desire to grow and to heal has brought me to this uncomfortable point, because I am tired of the way that I have been. My higher power is there to guide me when I am ready. I find solace in the fact that in step 6, I need not change anything. I must simply prepare myself for change. I can take all the time that I need. Such manageability is what I set out to find in the first place. And now it is part of my life. Today's reminder: I need not judge the rate at which I change old habits or ways of thinking. If I am uncomfortable with old behavior, then on some level I am already moving toward changing it. Change will not be effective unless I am ready for it. I need only trust that, when the time comes to move forward, I will know it. Remind me each day that the race is not always to the swift, that there is more to life than increasing its speed. Let me look upward in the towering oak and know that it grew great and strong because it grew slowly and well. Quote from Orrin L. Crane. All right, my friends, that concludes today's reading, and some beautiful stuff as always. I love the readings we do here. Anything in recovery it's usually amazing, and it's always exactly what I need to hear. But going back to the big book real quick, so now that we're finishing up, there's a solution. I love that in a couple of paragraphs here, we see that it's saying, hey, we don't have a monopoly on God here. We have no desire to convince anyone that there's only one way by which faith can be acquired. And as my cat meows, all I can say is that has been so true in the fellowships that I attend. I look around the room and I see so many different faith backgrounds. And it's pretty fascinating that yet each one of our backgrounds might be different. We still can do the spiritual program and remain sober and happy, joyous, and free. And it says here, it's an entirely personal affair, which each one decides for himself in the light of past associations or present choice. I love that this is so broad and inclusive, narrow and exclusive. And also the breakdown of step 4, talking about getting down to the root causes of why we do certain things we do, and also analyzing our reactions. I guess before I get to the courage to change, now that it's on my mind, I love that the big book breaks down like a chart of how to do step 4. And I love how the 12 and 12 kind of breaks down more of the root causes of why we did it. So we're first talking about the sex instinct today, and we'll talk about security tomorrow. But it says, when and how and in just what instance did my selfish pursuit of the sex relation damage other people and me? So when and how was the damage done? What people were hurt and how badly? What specific damage did I do? Did I spoil my marriage and injure my children? Jeopardize my standing in community? And then this part here, analyzing my own reaction. Just how did I react to these situations at the time? Did I burn with guilt that nothing could extinguish? So that's kind of going back to the depressive type. Or did I just insist that I was pursued and not the pursuer, and thus absolve myself? That kind of goes to the more prideful type person that we were talking about earlier. How have I reacted to frustration in sexual matters? When denied, did I become vengeful or depressed? Did I take it out on other people? If there was rejection or coldness at home, did I use this as a reason for I always have a hard time saying this, promiscuity? Promiscuity? I think that's it. But in other words, hey, did I try to blame everybody else for my sex excursions? So that talks about the one who deflects, blames other people for their selfish decisions. So when I analyze my reaction, it can become very, very beneficial. When I realize, okay, wow, why did I do that? Why did I react that way? What was threatened in me? But for anybody who might be struggling with step 4 in the big book, Maybe they're working on it right now with a sponsor or anything like that. The breakdown that's in the big book itself is amazing. It really is. And then what helped me was the Joe and Charlie breakdown as well. And they just kind of go through the big book and talk about it as well. You can find the tapes everywhere. YouTube, the Everything AA app, and other areas. I think it's on podcasts and stuff. But the bottom line is, this is not supposed to be something that beats you over the head. It makes you feel ashamed about yourself. This is just something to kind of reveal some items that are in our stock that maybe we need to get rid of. It's actually very practical. And it doesn't have to feel like a personal attack on ourselves. You know, if I were cleaning out my garage and I look at some items that I don't need this anymore, I wouldn't say to myself, "Oh, Rob, you're a horrible human being. Look at you. Why do you have this here? You ought to be ashamed of yourself." No, I'd just be like, okay, I think it's time to get rid of this thing. And eventually set it to the curb. Or in other words, give it over to my higher power. So that I can make room for some things that I can use. Some good things that I can use. I don't know if that makes any sense, but, and then finally the courage to change. It's beautiful. Talking about that oak tree, as a matter of fact. A lot of times I want to slam on that throttle, and there's certain things that have gone away very quickly, and there's other things that I struggle with daily. But regardless, by just doing these steps every day to the best of my ability, acting my way into the right thinking, I do see progress. And it is like that oak tree. You can't visibly see it day by day, but over time, it's pretty apparent that there's been growth. And my higher power does the growing. It's just great stuff. But my friends, I've rambled on way over. I hope you all have a great one today. Please know, as always, and I mean it, I don't speak on behalf of AA, NA, Al-Anon, any other sect. I'm just reading along with you guys in these readings here. And it's funny because it's always what it seems to be I need to hear that day. Just great stuff. But my friends, if we're given another set of 24 hours, I sincerely look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.